the front line itself is an absolute zone of death. There are so many drones buzzing around. Artillery comes in so fast. Within a minute of your appearance, you will have artillery fire on your head. You cannot stay in a not only on the front line, but also several kilometers behind that. You have a maximum time of survival with any vehicle that is about 15 to 20 minutes. If you're longer in there, you will be killed by loitering munitions or FPV drones. And if you stay in a firing position for a bit longer, artillery will get you. So how are tanks or infantry fighting vehicle used? They're tasked with a specific mission, either fire at or for example, infantry fighting vehicles, they're often used to evacuate casualties, also to bring supplies to forward exposed positions, because it's your only chance to evacuate casualties in this kind of robust vehicles. But you dash in, execute your mission, dash out. So why now displays are a cool thing for a very old tank? Because then he can see what the drone is seeing, so he can hide himself, can fastly maneuver in where his firing mission is, because he already had seen the constant monitoring of the enemy on the drone footage. The tank commander exactly knows what to fire about, how to orient himself. He doesn't have to spend a lot of time exposing himself, getting himself oriented. What's the situation? What's my mission? What I have to do? Whom I have to fire at? He basically knows that in advance because he has a computer that displays what he needs to do. He can very effectively execute that mission, which in terms of the good old Leopard 1 is just surprise the Russians, destroy XYZ with a few shots and retreat out of there quickly. And it's light, it's fast, it's accurate, it does that. So yeah, but it's a Western tank. So I think a lot of people in the West have a computer game impression, world on tanks, tank on tank. I need to destroy a T-90M at 5,000 meters. And if I can't do that, the thing is crap. Well, you don't have to. Most of your firing missions will be destroy something else. Said of that, but yeah, tanks have been much less important in this war than in previous wars. But on the other hand, they might actually become more important in the coming month, because the Russians are increasingly developing tanks which are well protected against drones. They have cage armor. They have these kind of turtle tanks where you have sort of sheet metal that is impeding the tank's conventional ability to perform as a main battle tank, but makes them very good and safe means of transport for infantry. They have big jammers on the top. And then, of course, you call in another tank and say, look, race in, destroy that, race out.
Now the Ukrainians test a very new part of the drones warfare, artificial intelligence for the drones to counter Russian electronic warfare. How much of future is in this topic, and how much realistic is this AI already now?
Well, it's being used on a daily basis. Part of the success defending the front line, or at least limiting the damage the Russian did by breaching the lines, can be attributed to artificial intelligence piloted FPVs. So the front line, this zone of death, it's not only a physical zone of death, where the destructive power of artillery, of mechanized forces, and of course of drones in all iterations is horrendous. It is also an electronic field of death. Around the front line and a bit thereafter, you live in a completely GPS-denied environment. There is just no chance to have proper navigation data using satellite navigations. But it's also a communication inhibited and sometimes a really communication denied environment. So where you just don't even get signals, data or voice, doesn't matter, of any sort through, because the amount of overlay and jamming is so big. So a drone can't be piloted completely to the target on its own. What Ukrainians now can do is give sort of the drone an orientation, what to strike when they see the target, and then the drone drives itself into the target. Even with commercial drones, I mean, they lose a lot of, you said it, DJI Mavics, etc. Also for the strike role, just for the sheer quantity used, they use commercial available drones. But usually they reprogram that. So they take the physical hardware, this is the drone, but then basically delete the controlling software and play on the drone their own developed software solution that is safer in terms of denying the Russians the ability to capture their drones, but also then has a lot of applications for the drone to orient itself, but also to engage the target independently of the relay to the operator. And of course, then the next level of this is the drones that basically your program, you need to do that, and they can independently execute a mission. You task them, I don't know, I need to interdict armed vehicles along this road, and the drones will navigate towards that road without having a contact to the operator, and then of course will be able to see a camouflaged hidden armored vehicle, distinguish it from other things found on the battlefield, like disabled armored vehicles, like rocks, like destroyed houses, and strike on it. Then, of course, the next level is to program AFVs, to program drones to cooperate with each other, to kind of see, okay, I want to have because of course the Russians are ramping up their protection system, so you need multiple drones on one vehicle. Usually that by now is coordinated by operators with eyesight, but if you don't have the ability to communicate with the drones, they need to know who's the first, who's the second drone, who's the third drone. Will we strike simultaneously from multiple directions, or will we have consecutive attacks? The drones need to make a damage assessment on the target they strike. They need to know when the target is dead and finished off to redirect themselves, etc. All that is not trivial, but on this, Ukrainians, they really have innovative industries. And here also to stress, the innovation cycle of all that stuff I described now is so fast. A trick that made your drone survive 2 weeks or 1 month ago might be completely obsolete by now. This is also why, for example, German or other US and British companies go into Ukraine, because otherwise it's just impossible to stay on top of the technological development. The other thing is Ukrainians also develop interceptor drones, so drones that are specifically designed to intercept Russian drones and kill them. And that is also a very interesting thing, because again, if you want to size the initiative in combat, you need to deny the enemy an ability to use certain capabilities, and denying the enemy the ability to use drones. If you want to do that with conventional air defense systems, you just spend so much ammunition at so high costs on these things that it's cheaper and more effective to just mass produce interceptor drones that kill the other drones, to deny the enemy the ability to use drones and hence see what you're doing. Or call in artillery or strike with loitering munitions. So these are enormously interesting developments, and they are very fast. We're talking about extremely short cycles of innovation. And if I can shout out a big recommendation to the Europeans, overhaul your regulations on investment into defense matters. There are a lot of funds, banks that have funding available, but they can't invest, for example, in Ukrainian defense industry because it's forbidden. The financial regulation doesn't allow it. I'm not a lawyer. I just constantly talk even to German enterprises working on the ground who have to get American or Israeli funding for what they're doing in Ukraine, because there's no chance to generate the capital to do so in Europe itself. Now, what happens then is all their research and developmental effort is then owned by other countries. and the IP rights will go out. This is also a lot of Ukrainian highly innovative companies work with foreign capital because they provide the capital to produce stuff, and of course they are interested in the research and development. And Europe is totally for our rigidity in our financial regulations. We're increasingly cut out of that game, and that will only hurt us. I mean, this is the developmental effort on artificial intelligence and munition development. That's something that will shape future wars. It's like the machine guns of World War One. You suddenly see what these systems are capable of, or the aircraft. And in World War One, a lot of aircraft manufacturers who are now, of course, well recognized or long gone have started as basically shed shops, where a few people tested around aircrafts and just tried to assemble whatever they could. And that's pretty much how a lot of the Ukrainian drone industry looks like. But I guess some of these enterprises will then, over the course of the next century, be the kind of, the Boeings and the Curtiss Wrights and the Fokkers, and will produce one or the other aircraft as well, or bigger system.